I was jolted awake at 6 a.m. by the rumble of a bulldozer in my backyard. A construction crew was carving a trench straight through my property, claiming it was for the new water pipeline of the Brookdale Springs HOA. Here's the kicker. I don't even live in their neighborhood. At first, I thought it was a dream. There was no way heavy machinery was ripping up my land at dawn. But when I stumbled outside in nothing but boxers and bedhead, the scene was real as ever. A backhoe, workers in orange vests, and a guy with blueprints acting like he owned the place. "What in the world are you doing?" I demanded. Without blinking, he replied, "Laying the new water line for Brookdale Springs HOA. Should be done in a couple days." I stared, stone-faced. That's impressive, considering this isn't Brookdale Springs. This is my land. Before we get too deep into this absurdity, let me back up. My name's Jason. I'm a land surveyor, a detail that becomes ironically relevant. A few years back, I inherited 10 acres of rugged, undeveloped land just outside the upscale suburb of Brookdale Springs. It's the kind of place where every mailbox is coordinated and you get fined for leaving up Christmas lights after New Year's. I never joined their HOA. Why? Simple. I don't live there. My property is adjacent, legally distinct, and 100% mine. I use it for camping, storing gear, and escaping suburban conformity. But somehow, the HOA folks decided my land was theirs for the taking. 2 weeks before the bulldozer incident, I noticed two guys near the edge of my property, tripods and clipboards in hand. As a surveyor, I don't tolerate trespassers. When I asked what they were doing, they muttered something about utilities and infrastructure upgrades. I assumed they were working on the Brookdale side. Big mistake. That morning, as I watched a trench grow across my yard, I ordered the foreman to stop. His response? "Take it up with the HOA." The nerve. I stared him down and said, "If I dug a pool in your living room, should I tell you to call your landlord?" He shrugged, indifferent. Later that afternoon, she showed up. Every HOA has a Monica. Flawless hair, sharp gray suit, and the charisma of a parking ticket. She arrived in a pristine SUV, clipboard in hand like she was ready to conduct an audit. "We understand there's been some confusion," she said. "I'm not confused," I replied. "You're building a pipeline on land you don't own." She smiled, plastic and practiced. "Our plans indicate this is part of the utility corridor. Likely a clerical error. I'm sure we can resolve this amicably." "You mean by halting construction and leaving?" She chuckled. "Let's not overreact. It's just dirt, Han. You're not even using it. Few things trigger fury like being called Han while someone trenches your property illegally." But I stayed calm. Yelling doesn't win battles. Strategy does. I told Monica I'd speak to my attorney. She gave a patronizing nod, like I was a child pretending to be an adult, and drove off smugly. What she didn't know, I was already on the phone. I wasn't just furious, I was intrigued. As a land surveyor, property boundaries are my bread and butter. I know easements, rights of way, and how catastrophic it is to build without legal consent. And here's my trump card. There was no easement on my land. That pipeline was a legal disaster. For days, I let them keep working while I collected ammunition, deeds, property records, and every clause on my title. No right-of-way. No approvals. They were building on sheer entitlement. Then came the jackpot. The underground aquifer they were tapping ran directly beneath my land, and I held senior water rights for the basin. Suddenly, I had the tap. No letters. No warnings. I just called the regional water district. While Brookdale Springs HOA was gloating in their newsletter about their green initiative and upcoming water pipeline, I quietly filed paperwork that would make their plans implode. They thought they were steamrolling a nobody. They didn't know I now controlled their water supply. And I was just getting started. I built what I called my power portfolio, a thick folder of deeds, water rights, legal opinions, and surveys. If this were a movie, it was the montage where the nerd discovers his superpower. I wasn't just going to stop them. I was going to make them regret ever laying pipe. First, I verified their entire pipeline had no legal basis. Their HOA maps were glossy fiction. The county plat maps made it clear they had trespassed. Someone had approved this without expecting resistance. Until they hit me. The aquifer, by law, was part of a regulated basin. My senior rights meant that any use starting on my land gave me controlling interest. I met with the water district, showed documentation, and asked, if someone builds a pipeline on my land and taps into my aquifer without consent, can I stop them? Yes, they said. You can block access pending review. I left with paperwork that would give Monica night sweats. I didn't touch the pipeline. I didn't call a lawyer. I let them finish. Then, just as they were about to go live, I filed a cease and desist. Their newsletter promised lush lawns and rising home values. I taped it to my fridge like a trophy. Still, they never acknowledged they trespassed. Spring turned to summer. The hydrologist confirmed the unauthorized access. I filed the official complaint. My lawyer signed the cease and desist, polite but deadly. Then, I waited. As heat waves rolled in, Brookdale Springs turned brown. Sprinklers slowed to a trickle. Lawns yellowed. Residents were furious. Then Monica returned. No SUV. No pearls. Just oversized sunglasses and a fat folder. "We need to talk," she said. "Oh, now we talk," I replied, sipping coffee on my porch. "What happened to just dirt, hon?" She ignored the jab. "There's been an unfortunate issue with the water." "Unfortunate? That's one word for it. I prefer illegal." She spun a tale of outdated maps and good faith. I let her ramble until she asked, "Can we resolve this quietly?" I pointed to the trench. "That's trespassing." "That water?" "Mine." "This fine." I held out a cease and desist. $500 per day since you started." Her face paled. "But I'm reasonable," I added, smiling. "I'll sell you access for a price." What I didn't mention, I already had a backup offer from an agricultural co-op willing to pay premium. Monica left rattled. Then Ryan showed up. A Brookdale resident. Not angry, nervous. "Half the neighborhood hates you. The other half wants your lawyer," he joked. "Fair split," I said. He got serious. "This isn't their first land grab. Last year they ran a path through the Wilsons' land. They took hush money. Too old to fight." I felt sick. This wasn't just about me anymore. We didn't vote for this. Monica runs the show. We just want water. I gave him my terms, $250,000 and a public apology. Monica laughed. Until lawns died and residents revolted. Their newsletters blamed supply issues. But someone leaked my cease and desist. Board meetings turned chaotic. Swearing. Graffiti. Outrage. Monica offered $5,000. I countered $20,000 per week in back fines. I installed a red valve with a flow meter and a sign, "Unauthorized use prohibited." Residents gawked. Some cheered. Then a law firm, not the HOAs, called. Residents were suing the board. They wanted my help. I agreed, anonymously. By midsummer, Brookdale Springs HOA imploded. Monica resigned for family reasons. The board begged. What will it take? I stood firm. $250,000. Public apology. No future encroachments. They agreed. A new president, Mark, delivered a stiff video statement. I installed a plaque. Private property. Water rights enforced. 6 months later, the video still circulates. I upgraded my land. Solar panels, water tanks, and a mural of me slamming a red valve. The Wilsons finally spoke out. Others investigated old easement scams. Brookdale's reputation crumbled. Listings dropped. Developers fled. The water district offered me a long-term lease, benefiting the local farming co-op. Monica's daughter dropped off cookies once. They remain uneaten. The pipeline? Still there. Still mine. And the grass? It grew back. Better than ever. Because sometimes, justice isn't loud. It's meticulous. Quiet. Strategic. And when the dust finally settles, the ones who drew the wrong lines are left staring at the man who never moved an inch.